Hi everyone, it's Jason here. Today we're going to be looking at adding an employee into our account. There's a few reasons for why we'd want to do this. This allows our booking form, our quotation form, and our invoice creation form to display accurate real-time availability. Having the employee within our account allows us to schedule them. And of course, in order for an employee to be able to access the employee portal, they need to be added into our account. So to add an employee, what we'll do is we'll go to the side menu and click Employees. And then from here, we'll go Create Employee. So we'll start by entering some basic information about the employee. Start with their name, their email address, let's say their job title is cleaner, their phone number. We can select a headshot that will be displayed within our profile or account, I should say. This image will only be accessible to us as the administrator of this profile, as well as to the employee. When they log in, they'll be able to see this headshot that you've selected. The next field is the On My Way image. So if a customer is sent a text message that indicates that a particular staff member is on their way to the appointment, the image that will show up within that message will be the one that we select here. So I'll choose this image. Next, we'll set the street address of the employee. Okay, so with the address set, we'll get into employee permissions. So these permissions will essentially control what the employee can see and do when they've logged into the employee portal. So the first option or setting is can see invoices. So this setting will allow the employee to see work orders or the details of work orders that they're scheduled to. So we want our employees to have that information, so I'll enable that. The next one, can see invoice pricing. So this allows the employee to see pricing on the invoice or work order. So if you want an employee to be able to see the details of the job that they've been scheduled to, but you don't want them to see the revenue that you're going to be collecting from the job, you can keep this disabled. The next one, can see customer notes. So as you may know, after you set up a customer on the platform, you can add notes to that customer profile. If you want the employee to be able to access or see those notes, you can enable this option here. The next one, can see invoice notes. So when you create a booking, you can add notes that are specific to that booking, as can other team members. If you want this employee to be able to see those notes, you'll want to enable this switch. The next one, can add notes to the invoice. So here we can choose whether or not we're willing to let this employee add notes to the invoice or to the job. So these notes that the employee adds will never be shared with the client. They'll only be accessible to you and other team members. All right, the next option is can upload photos to the job. So this one's pretty self-explanatory. This switch controls whether or not the employee can actually upload photos to the job or to jobs that they're assigned to. These photos will only ever be shared with the client if you manually go in and share them yourself. Right, the next one, can see job photos. So this switch controls whether or not this employee will be able to see photos that you and other team members have uploaded to the job. So we'll enable that one. All right, so the next setting is job rejection buffer, and this one does require a bit of explanation. So one of the neat things about our platform is that you can give employees the ability to reject job assignments. If we don't want employees to have this ability, we'll just leave this field blank. But if we do want to give this employee the ability to reject any jobs that are, say, scheduled to start 10 days or more in the future, we'll set this to 10. Right, so with this setting in place, if an employee tried to reject a job that was scheduled to start, say, 8 days from now, they would receive a message indicating that they're not able to do that. All right, so the next one, self-scheduling time period. Another cool feature of our platform is that employees can actually schedule themselves to jobs that are either underscheduled or unscheduled entirely. When I say underscheduled, what I mean is that if a job has been booked for 3 employees and there's only 2 employees assigned to that job, that's a job that's underscheduled, and it would show up as being available for them to book themselves into with this setting enabled. So if I want to give this employee the ability to pick up unscheduled jobs that are going to start within the next 7 days, I'll put a 7 here. If I don't want this employee to be able to self-schedule themselves at all to any jobs, I would just leave this field blank. The next one is share phone number with teammates. So this is a setting that you'll want to get permission from your employees on. With this setting enabled, your employee's cell phone number will be shared with others who are also assigned to the same job. As long as your employees give consent to this, providing your employees with this type of information is going to make communication a lot smoother between them. So we'll enable this one. The next setting is auto schedule employee. So we've got this auto scheduling switch. And if we're okay with having this employee auto scheduled to jobs using PageSmack's intelligent auto scheduler, we'll enable this switch. If we'd rather only manually assign jobs to this employee, we would disable this. All right, so with these settings in place, we'll save the profile. So in this case, I just used an email account that doesn't exist. As you can see, there's a message at the top here indicating that there was a problem sending the employee portal invite email to the employee. But we'll ignore that for now, given the fact that this is just a test case that we're running. All right, so let's see. If we go back to the listing of employees, we'll see that Frank is now set up. We're able to edit his profile or view his profile. Let's go in and edit it. I just want to show you 2 additional fields that we have access to when we do this. All right, so the first field is employees active. So if the employee is on some sort of extended leave, we'll actually want to disable this switch. And as indicated, when we disable the switch, the employee will be removed from the team that he or she is on, and no jobs can be assigned to the employee. The second field I want to talk about is the last day of work field. So if an employee has quit or you've terminated someone, you can set the employee's last day of work here. You can set the specific date. Future jobs are removed from the employee. The employee will be removed from their team. Jobs can no longer be assigned to the employee, and all employee portal permissions will be revoked with this date in place. If you're terminating someone or someone has quit, this field should only really be populated after the employee has left the company. If the employee is ever rehired, you can always come back into this profile and clear this last day of work date out. So with that in place, we'll just go back to our list of employees. And let's see. One thing I want to point out is that as the site admin, you will be set up as an employee. So when we set up this profile, when we came to PageSmack and registered our account initially, we registered it under the name James. As you can see, an employee has been created for us automatically. And since an employee has been created for us, what this means is that we can assign ourselves to jobs. We can use the employee portal to view information on jobs that we've been assigned to, things like that. So one other thing I should mention is that at this point you're maybe wondering how an employee can access the employee portal after they've been set up within the profile here. I'll bring a bit of clarity to this by making a few comments. So once we've actually set up the employee, what will have happened is that an email will have been automatically sent to that employee with instructions on how they can access the employee portal. Part of those instructions involve setting a password on their account. Once they've done that, they can actually log in to the platform and then access the employee portal. So let's have a look at what the employee profile looks like. To do that, what we'll do is access the profile of Jenny Jacobs. All right, so starting on the left, we see a picture of this employee that we uploaded. If we want to email or call them, we can click on either of these links here. We can also see the employee's average review score. We see it's about maybe a little under 4.5 stars over 3 reviews. We can also edit their profile and we can view their schedule. So if we view their schedule, we can see it here. You can change the date range of the schedule, as well as if you want to look at a different employee while you're in here, you can certainly do that. To go back to the employee's profile, you can just click this link at the top. So at the bottom of this panel here, you can see that, well, if the employees actually set their mood today, you'll see what that is, as well as when they actually set it. In this case, it was about half an hour ago. All right, looking at the top, we see the contact information for this employee. We also see information on this employee's team. We can easily access the profiles of Jenny's teammates. Moving down, we see some details on their account. We can see when we created it, when Jenny last logged in. We also see that this employee can be scheduled to jobs, as well as auto-scheduled to jobs. And if we're needing to, we can resend the login instructions to the employee. Below that, we've got some account permissions. So yeah, it's really just about 8 to 10 permissions that are called out here, as well as the status of each. We can always change these permissions by clicking Edit Profile. And below that, we've got I guess I should say the last 3 customer reviews that are applicable to this employee. We can open each of them by clicking Show. And we see a link to the actual job. We see the job date, the survey completion date, and then the responses of this particular customer, as well as any comments that they had made. In this case, they said awesome work on the job. Most importantly, we also see other employees who also work the job. So maybe a job hasn't been rated as well as it could have been. We'd be interested to know who else worked the job. So in this case, Jake had also been assigned to it. All right, so with that, let's maybe move on to the last thing I wanted to cover, which is tips that have been paid by our customers for our employees. So in order to access any tips that have been paid, we'll click on the customers link, and then we'll click on tips. All right, so when a customer adds a tip to their invoice before paying it, this tip is basically logged in our system, and then you can track it by employee as well as job. So we can review our tips using this form here. We can change the start date and end date. We'll look at tips that have been collected from the beginning of February to early April, and we'll search for all employees. Okay, so these are the tips that have been paid in that time period. If we want to look at the tips that Bill has collected, we'll select Bill from the drop down and click search. From here, we can see the actual jobs that have resulted in Bill being tipped. So $22.31 was tipped to Bill on this job, and of course that $21 is just a fraction of the total tip. The tips are allocated evenly between the employees who are assigned to the job. So if you're wondering what you're needing to pay out to your employees in terms of tips, for a particular time period, this is going to be extremely useful for you. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. If you do have any questions on anything we covered, feel free to submit a ticket or contact us using the details on our Contact Us page. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.